Good morning. Drive Cam is on the move. Been pretty busy this morning. This time south of Broad Ripple Avenue on one of those side neighborhood streets there. This one at least looks like they've got a lot of cars on one side of the road, which probably has helped them be able to clear some of that snow, but still looking a little icy. Glad that you're up with us here on 13 Sunrise. We've made it to Friday, which feels like an accomplishment on its own. This has felt like a week that's been like 2 weeks, and I know a lot of you had earlier parts of the week off.
Yeah, some kids may not have gone to school until yesterday or today, but it just feels like deja vu. And it's been a long week, but we made it.
It has been. And I know it's going to be a busy Friday because now schools are finally getting to play their basketball games, have their swim meets. So many things were rescheduled. We have the list of what the games were supposed to be.
Okay.
So I know they've all changed. Superintendents and athletic directors have all kind of. It's going to be a busy day, but at least you can get out the door. You just got to bundle up.
Yeah.
This is our last weather impact alert. So.
And we have less cancellations and delays today, too.
Yes, we do. Only about 120 or so. We were starting this week with over 500. So that's a really good point, Julia. I want to show you the temperatures this morning. It is cold again. We're one of the colder spots. Look at these temperatures right there in the single digits. That's Indianapolis, though. We are colder outside of the city. You also have some colder air up by the Great Lakes. Everyone's cold this morning, but you do see some 20s towards places like Nashville and heading into the Ozarks. Eventually, warm air is on the way. Their snow is starting to melt. In fact, yesterday we had, about 50% of the country under snowpack. Now we have about 47%. So as that happens, as the snowpack slowly goes away on the outer edges, not here in Indiana yet, although our snow depth has gotten a little bit lower. Once we can get some of these southern states thawed out, we can finally get some warmer air. Live look in Indianapolis now looks quiet. However, if you look in the distance, there's this little bit of a haze and some patchy freezing fog. We don't have too much of it downtown. You got to kind of look a little bit farther into the distance. But this freezing fog is not great because when it gets a little bit thicker in spots, which it's not everywhere, it's kind of little fog banks here and there. And as you're driving through the countryside, you may run into a couple. There may be some places where a thin layer of new ice forms, like on elevated surfaces, so a vehicle, mailboxes, anything like that, maybe a railing, maybe even a bridge. So watch for those slick spots. Now here in Indy, we're at 2, but it's -8 in Zionsville, -3 in Carmel and Fishers. Farther to the north, cold this morning. Anderson's -8, -11 in Flora. It's -8 in Lafayette, -7. Good morning for the Tigers and Lebanon. And farther south, my goodness, -9 there in Franklin County. Brookville, we're at -9 and -2 in Bloomington, feeling like -10 though at the campus of IU. So coming up, we're going to talk about some snow flurries on the way and some of this patchy fog. We're going to let you know though when you can see a couple snowflakes drift from north to south. But I do want to touch on traffic this morning. We've got some crashes we need to get to. It's been quiet all morning, but now we're starting to get some activity. So we've got a crash there over by Meridian Street where you meet I-465. So let's go ahead and take that camera up right now. Looks like we've got a few vehicles. Kind of hard to tell if are there semis or box trucks off towards the side, but you're seeing traffic go really slowly there by the Meridian Street exit on the south side. And then I think there's a stalled vehicle. It's hard to say. They're on 65 over by West Street, the MLK Street exit on 65 on the northwest side of the skyscraper. So some accidents are starting to develop. We'll continue to track them. Samantha?
All right, we'll see you soon. Thank you. This morning, Indy DPW crews will be back out, but it may not be in a plow.
Yeah, inspectors. They're making sure that every street was completed by those private contractors they hired to help out last week. Anna Chalker is in studio this morning with what they're looking at to consider if a street is actually cleared or not. Good morning.
Good morning, ladies. Well, we all know you're not going to see a completely clean street just yet with the way the snow was packed. But DPW says their expectation is that it's a passable road and it's not keeping residents snowed in. And I want to show you one of those roads. It's 61st and Guilford off of our drive cam this morning. You can see the snow just still packed up on the road right there. But our drive cam, they can get through just fine with the piles of snow on the side. That's where some cars were sitting throughout the last few days. Now I'll tell you, the main focus today is all of the complaints that were filed to the Mayor's Action Center. So when these inspectors are going to go back out to these streets, they're going to look for things like if there's thick snow in the center of the roads or if it's all smoothed over like what you're seeing right now on the pavement. And if it looks like that street was not touched or if there are some spots that are missing, DPW will make sure that contractor goes back out.
If there are segments that have been reported to us and we have inspected and we disagree with the completion on that, yes, those contractors go back out.
Now, don't worry, you could still submit a ticket to the Action Center if you feel like you haven't seen an inspector or if you think it hasn't been touched yet. You can do that through the Request Indy website or app. All they ask is that you add photos for proof to make sure you're not lying about it. But when it comes to driveways and sidewalks, make sure it's up to you that you clear it. You and your neighbors. If you know you have an older resident next to you that can't get out, clear it for them. Make life easier. Neighbors helping neighbors. But a lot of accountability today, I think, is going to be the big thing from DPW, because this was the first time they put out those contractors.
And I think sending pictures too is just so they'll know what they're looking for,
Yes.
what specific area.
Because everything just looks the same right now.
It all just looks like snow.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Hey, thank you, Anna. Well, as Indiana is slowly getting back to normal, yesterday most schools were finally open again, but we are still seeing several delays this morning.
Yeah, we've got those running for you at the bottom of your screen. There are some lingering issues too, specifically for trash pickup. What about mail too, right? Many people are saying that they have not had mail delivered in several days. Well, USPS says they do deliver in severe weather, but only when roads are passable and safe for those mail carriers. Walkways also have to be clear, and if you have curbside delivery, those must have clear access from the street. So FedEx and UPS, they also have similar rules. Trash is a little more complicated though, because the schedules obviously vary by the city. So for Indy DPW, service went back to normal yesterday. If weather canceled your pickup earlier in the week, you will be allowed to leave out extra bags for your next pickup day.
And we can also see the progress there when we check in our state's travel advisory map. We've been looking at the updates every day to see if things look different for us.
Better news today, so take a look. A lot of gray and yellow on this map. Those are good things. Yellow is the lowest level of local travel advisory. It just means you can be out, but just give yourself some extra time. Be careful out on the roads. Those few gray counties you see there, those are all good. No elevated risk status there. Those counties are back to normal.
If you need to know how cold it is or you just want to dream of warmer days ahead, get the WTHR weather app. That'll let you check the current conditions and the 7-day forecaster. We do have some slightly warmer temperatures on for you. You can also read our blog right to your phone. That's a free download if you don't already have that from your app store. Your time is 6:06. 1 month after a mother was killed in a suspected domestic violence shooting, her family is trying to turn that grief into action.
And that proposed change is called Jerry's Law. Our Marina Silva shows us how it could better protect victims from the very beginning. Good morning.
Good morning, ladies. Well, just days after Christmas, police say Jerry Means was shot and killed allegedly by her husband Cecil right in front of their 4 children. Court records show Jerry filed for a protection order on Christmas Day, saying her husband had threatened to kill her multiple times. Now her cousin is determined to make sure no other family lives through the same nightmare by pushing for a new law. Jerry's Law would require protection orders to take effect the same day they're filed. That online petition already has more than 1,200 signatures this morning. A local domestic violence advocate says right now approval can take 1 or 2 days, and even then the order still has to be served. Heather Curlin believes the holiday and the closed courts left Jerry exposed during those critical hours after she filed.
A dream like 3 or 4 days ago of her telling me to keep pushing forward for this, because she always said, like, do what you believe in.
Danette Smith is a domestic violence advocate here in the city. She says if you need to file a protection order, you should also contact an advocate to help you. Now, those protection orders are filed at the criminal justice campus. If you or someone you know is in a domestic violence relationship, we do have resources on our website, WTHR.com.
This is one of the stories we can't talk enough about.
Absolutely.
So thank you. We appreciate that.
Well, an Indianapolis teenager this morning is charged as an adult, accused of shooting and killing his barber.
A doorbell camera captured that shooting at 39th in Pennsylvania, just a few blocks from the City View apartments. This was back in November. Police say 35-year-old Stephen Coach went there to trade his watch for a gun from a 16-year-old Dominique Sherman.
A friend of Coach who was there to watch the transaction says that Sherman came back a few minutes without Coach and then left in Coach's car.
In this instance, someone was basically set up essentially where the 16-year-old ultimately using a firearm that shouldn't have had it, used it unjustifiably, taking another person's life, and ultimately also trying to take their car in this whole instance.
A 16-year-old is due to make his first appearance in court tomorrow morning on murder charges.
At the Statehouse this morning, we have reached the halfway point of this year's legislative session already.
Just a month left for lawmakers to get bills passed into the governor's desk. One bill that's moving on could impact medical bills. Senate Bill 85 limits how hospitals can collect unpaid medical bills. Under this, liens can't be placed on people's homes to collect any unpaid medical debt. It also caps how much someone's wages can be garnished in order to cover medical debt.
Lawmakers spent yesterday afternoon hashing out proposed changes to a bill that would shake up how IPS schools and charter schools within its boundaries operate. House Bill 1423 would create a new governing body to oversee all of those schools. One change that moved through yesterday would allow charter schools to opt out of parts of that bill. But if they do, then the school would have to give up access to certain funding. Now, the full House will vote on those bills on Monday.
Our Emily Longnecker and Dustin Grove break down the latest political news every Sunday on Crossroads Politics. The latest episode streams this Sunday morning at 10. It is 6:10. Good morning, Matt.
And it feels like -6 in spots. Very cold out there this morning. At least we're mainly clear. A little bit of patchy fog out there this morning. Cold weather alerts to eastern Indiana, but everyone's cold. Wind chills are below 0. We're going to let you know when we'll head back to freezing coming up here shortly. Samantha?
A key vote to prevent a partial government shutdown is pushed back while lawmakers had to delay that vote.
And Starbucks is changing up that rewards program. The new benefits that customers could receive when these changes are coming.